Order for special prosecutor chese kisie jaben osanso de fufuro asan bagana order for the mechi na enkoje sanse wo nyina nchemu ewo Ghanatube emrasisia.
In the last 5 days, anti-corruption campaigners and agencies across the continent gathered here in Accra in one accord to revitalize the anti-corruption campaign architecture in Africa with key focus on Ghana's accountability journey. Speaking at a high-level conference at the Accra International Conference Center here in Accra, Special Prosecutor Kisie Jabing first underscored the need to broaden lifestyle audit and asset recovery to politically exposed persons and private individuals.
The principle of lifestyle audit non-conviction-based asset recovery should be stamped in the Constitution to encompass public officers, politically exposed persons, and persons in the private sector suspected of having engaged or engaging in corruption and corruption-related activities. On the reckoning, that the person must have legitimate sources of income sufficient to justify the interest in any property that that person holds. Therefore, where a person's resources far outstrip his legitimate income, the unexplained portion should be liable to confiscation. This will be a critical tool also to detect fraud and undeclared income for tax purposes. Thus, conviction after criminal proceedings should not be a condition precedent for asset recovery purposes. That is, proceedings on an application for a confiscation order or a restraint order should be civil and not criminal.
On the raging call for full disclosure of the
Order for motin seminar special prosecutor OSP motin seminar kind or say a government official and as a politically exposed person bia and who John Domani Mahama Fawu Sabina Fawu ya bayi juma o yesi also bia declare an asset. Na se u declare asset wie na asset declaration no any income ne niamaniama bia wo no se ebu ebra anase enkoyie a chese yesi waso beye hye papa sa niamaniama we nyina ode ba no o se sene beye a ye betumi ehu kwan ebe fa so age tax e wo Ghana as because nkofo bebre na eso ebe tax mu ntua tax in asset declaration no government appointees for nyina no obi an declare ni asset. Now declare asset yes ye be check usika won niamane mo properties a won ye be check any usika no anase any income no e match there fine sanya manema wo nyina omode tu akwem se na be on be check corruption any ekwan a Ghana free bitumi afa so tua tax order for special prosecutor no that was answer the same way aba me so be di nyina brew e wo Ghanatube order for mine call 9 santu ansem so magisia.
Content of asset declared by government appointees, the OSP says although he supports verification of these assets, he does not support disclosing them to the public.
And I'm coming to disappoint some of you. I do not, and I will not add my voice to calls for the publication of assets for public scrutiny. In our experience, it would be unhelpful and would merely subject public officers to inordinate public curiosity and the specter of the real likelihood of reprisals against the assets. In my estimation, a publication of who has declared or has not declared his assets in the context of a workable asset verification and tracing model would be sufficient to assure the integrity of the asset declaration system. On another score, I dare say corruption begins where values collapse. That is why integrity must be designed into our educational system from the basic level through to the tertiary level, and I'm looking at students.
Bemoaning the decline in Ghana's performance on the Global Anti-Corruption Perception Index, Vice
Order for Ofia Caption Kakra was almost say fight against corruption, almost say publish full list of appointees who declare assets but don't publish content. OSP. Just say Office of the Special Prosecutor Kisie Jabe Moamoni no no special prosecutor or say senior Ghana able to me a fight against corruption katashishena ade ekoso Ghana ntino yes say a government appointee bia na say public appointee bia John Dramani Mahama na appointees nyina na yaka che mo say omo declare mo assets no obi biara obi declare asset bia yem publish sa list ni nyina no but the content of the asset ne de yem publish but se osimesi ana obentin e declare the asset a ye betro udin ya publish say osimesi ana obentin o declare the asset but the content of what asset ne de ye publish for when ye nsem foforo eye OSP Office of the Special Prosecutor while just one lunch or Ghana has here. Mensu medi ni nyina brɛ ɛwɔ Ghanatube. Order for mine call na yentu ansem so emergency here ɛwɔ Ghanatube haya.
President Professor Jane Nana Pukwajiman indicated that President John Dramani Mahama is executing some 5 key anti-corruption agenda to turn the situation around.
The appointment of a presidential advisor on the National Anti-Corruption Program, the first of its kind since 1992, represents a strategic approach to coordinating our efforts. This office has identified 5 key areas that will anchor our revitalization efforts, including cooperating between anti-corruption agencies, partnerships with the state interests, and governance authority to ensure integrity, provide assurance of domestic and international communities, proposing legislative and policy reforms, and supporting the Attorney General's office in receiving and processing corruption complaints.
She says the passage of the reviewed Public Officers Conduct Bill is also in line with government's effort to win the fight against corruption. Member of the AUABC, Vaughan Chabia, assured of the board's readiness to help Ghana implement the recommendations from the deliberations.
I would like to assure you that once the review is concluded and the report is finalized, the AUABC will provide recommendations that will respond to the gaps and challenges identified from the review, as we will work with you to ensure the anti-corruption strategies are enhanced and governance systems are strengthened.
James Aveji's report read to you.
Odofo we na ye nsem a ekoso ewo Ghana menso meji ni nyina brew ewo Ghana tu je se ohwe nsem a ekoso no dia otumu se John Dramani Mahama ni abri yi pa se opese otu katahihye ene proye na ade nyina efi Ghana se na be ya che se na points ni obia ede be hye ni chirim se onye wa adwen se sa opportunity no de ama ono menya wa adwen se bia oba besisa sika na wakoja bi John Dramani Mahama ni ama no de tu akwemu ni de che se osi obia declare assets na omobia emre a ofen declare assets na se sa amre ne so na se ntumi declare asset a ye beyi we fiade so you are no more going to be an appointee under John Dramani Mahama ni tenure biom aha nti ena isi OSP nso de foforo so aba o say just say obia declare asset a yem publish enti kwekumenu a na osimesi na ebe declare asset a ye betro udin ye be publish so osimesi nipa 5 nipa 10 nipa 15 e declare mo asset but the content of the asset ni de enya ade a ye be publish enti no omudin na ade ne be publish odofo we ne ensem awtwa niam ekoso nyina kire eye John Dramani Mahama ni bre a abre se opese otu kata hye ne pro nyina efi system no odofo when I ensem ai deja Ghana ase obia kan wasema menso meje ni nyina brew ewo Ghanatube odofo mamre efi semba like na subscribe na share na hit notification bell no so amai se na be ya brini abibie dope content a wo wa wo hwe me no wonya ntempa na hwe no ti ama odofo aha ana mede kata hye ensem ekoso ewo John Dramani Mahama na memu nyina ensem ekoso nyina hana mdi nyina besi ewo Ghanatube makra mu nyina meda mu nyina ase